Hello everybody, here we are today looking at the Calder Trophy odds for the 2024-25 NHL season. But before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the season has wrapped up, and recently we did see NHL awards handed out, and Connor Bedard ended up claiming the Calder Trophy as NHL's top rookie. But I did want to jump into next season a little bit and look at who could possibly go on to win the Calder this upcoming season. So we're going to be looking at the best 5 odds to win it according to covers.com. So coming in tied at number 5, you have Will Smith and Cutter Gauthier. And with Will Smith, we'll start off with him. He is a player for the Sharks that could be part of their long-term future. He was the 2023 4th overall pick and is a name to be watching out for. And obviously, for San Jose, they could use him, as he potentially could be a guy that brings a lot of offensive flair for them early on, which is sorely needed, as this team was just one of 2 teams in the NHL to finish with less than 200 goals scored on the year. The other team being the Chicago Blackhawks, and with a guy like Smith, you'd have to imagine there's going to be potential for him to get a lot of opportunities in a team in San Jose where expectations are relatively low. He could be sheltered, he could get a lot of power play minutes, he could be a guy that doesn't necessarily have to be a player that's going to play those top line minutes, but certainly could be handed the reins if things go well for him. And looking at San Jose, they want these guys to be playing well. And we know that with a lot of these younger teams, they aren't necessarily going to have every player that could go out there and win the Calder, or they're not going to have the ability to have every single player win the Calder because only one guy is going to get selected. But I am very hopeful for what Smith can do, as he, again, could be part of a Sharks team that actually is competitive in the near future. Now, as for Cutter Gauthier, he is somebody that I'm going to be watching out very extensively because he's got a lot of proof. He didn't want to be part of Philly, so they ended up trading him to Anaheim, and of course, that is something to key in on, as you have Cutter, who is going to be joining an Anaheim team that has got a lot of young talent but continues to not put out the results. Now, every year we say, are they going to be a step closer? And it seems like there's a lot of teams that we've covered in recent videos talking about, oh, well, this year they're a little bit closer, this year they're a little bit closer. Anaheim feels like one of those teams that is the furthest back despite having a lot of that young talent. But I do think one thing that's really good for Cutter is expectations are low in Anaheim, kind of like San Jose, but also they seem to be in a better spot. They have a lot of that younger talent that is already getting a decent amount of NHL games, while also having younger guys that are proven at the NHL level. And then they've gone out and signed some other guys that are veteran players that are expected to be, there for the younger guys, also being able to play a role not only as a 4th line guy, but be expected to play big minutes for this team. And Gauthier could be somebody that is able to hide a little bit despite the team wanting to be able to take the next step forward. But he could be part of this group that ends up seeing something like their power play percentage improve. Their power play was a lot worse than I was hoping that it would be next year or this past season, and I'm hoping that this upcoming season things can be better for them. Anaheim has been a team for a while now that I keep watching and thinking, oh, I like this about them, I like this about them, but they aren't able to produce. And you have to wonder, at what point do we have to worry about them a little bit? I am excited to watch out for what Cutter can do this season for them. And if things go poorly, you already know Philly fans are going to be laying it on him. But with how things have been for Anaheim over the past 7-ish years, I'm hoping that with a new look, with a new jersey, all that good stuff, and a lot of these younger players that could be healthy, maybe, just maybe, they take that next step. Probably won't be a playoff team, but should be a very young and exciting team that shows a lot of potential. And then coming in at 3rd, you have Logan Stankoven, and he is somebody that sticks out because he's playing on a Dallas Stars team that is totally different than what we were mentioning with the other 4 players, because they are not only a good team, they are a great team. And Stankoven is a guy that's already got 24 regular season games in with the team and played with them in the postseason. He is somebody that won the AHL Rookie of the Year, I believe, last season, and it would be kind of fitting to see him go out there and win the Calder the following year. You are seeing a lot of younger Dallas players go out there and produce at the NHL level. You are seeing Stankoven go out there and have a great face-off percentage, which is something nice to see early on. And this continues to be a good run for the Dallas Stars. Stankoven is young, again, got a lot of things going for him, and he actually has a team that could shelter him if he needs to be protected a little bit and play against weaker competition, but could go out there and thrive, as Dallas might not be afraid to go out there and change their lines a little bit, as they look really, really good. And in this case, you're seeing teams like the Sharks, you're seeing teams like Anaheim on this list, as well as guys like Bedard that played for the Hawks last year. You knew that it was going to be very tough, but I think for Stankoven, I'm feeling really optimistic about what he could do this year. And then coming in with the second best odds, you have Macklin Celebrini. Now, Celebrini was taken with the 1st overall pick in this draft and could be game-changing for the San Jose Sharks. He is the first ever player they were able to select 1st overall, and is joining a San Jose team that is trying to get better. And with Celebrini, he's already making NHL history or hockey history, as he was the youngest player ever to win the Hobey Baker Award. and he did that at like 17 years old. He just recently turned 18. He's going to be in the hometown, which is kind of nice because he's a Bay Area kid and is joining other players that are younger, these baby sharks, if you will, that are looking to sink their teeth into the NHL. And looking at their top 6, they'll have 3 players in their top 6 that are projected to be there that are 22 or younger, with multiple players like him and Will Smith going to be, like under 20 years old. So the potential there to thrive is really good. And you have some guys like Calder Trophy that he could go out there and play with. Toffoli just signed a 4-year deal. He could help be one of those veteran guys that he gets a lot of experience with in the NHL and grows and develops with him. And Toffoli, we already know, has been able to produce for a variety of teams. I really am hopeful that he gets to play with the GOAT Toffoli, that he's able to produce again for the Sharks team, even though they might not be the best. This is where you get to see some of that opportunity to grow. And yes, I know we already saw with Celebrini, maybe the physicalness of the NHL, the physicality, if you will, could be a problem early on, but I am hoping with everything that the Sharks are able to have these young guys produce, and the Bay Area is once again home to some great hockey. And I would like to add that I'm not going to compare him to the Connor Bedard level hype, and you don't always necessarily see young players that are projected to be stars do that right away, but I'm hoping it's the case. As for the final candidate, you have Matvei Michkov, and Michkov is certainly an interesting player here because of the fact that he ends up going to Philadelphia when there was some concern about whether or not that would happen. Michkov is also interesting too because he's got professional experience as he played in the KHL, but I do think one of the things that could hurt him in this upcoming season is the fact that John Tortorella is his head coach. And why is that a concern for me? It's because Tortorella would see guys that were able to be young players produce for him, and he didn't really give them a lot of minutes, especially when you're looking at the forwards. You're looking at Joel Farabee, you're looking at Owen Tippett, Morgan Frost. These guys finished, I think, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th on the team in points this past season, and all were under, I believe, 17 minutes a night. Now, some of these older players did play a little bit more, but I feel like Philly's a little bit different because some teams will play their forwards that are their top-end guys over 20 minutes a night, and I'm just more interested to see what happens with Michkov because the potential to be very, very special is there. They've been comparing him to guys like Alexander Ovechkin for a minute, and we know the offensive game is certainly going to be there. My biggest question is whether or not the defensive effort's going to be there on that end, and that's kind of where I'm a little bit concerned. You could see Torts not giving him a lot of minutes in general, and you could see him in Torts' doghouse because of possibly poor defensive effort. That could be a huge issue, and I think with the way the season ended for the Flyers last year, it could be on Tortorella's mind on how they collapsed, and he's thinking, you are going to listen to me, and you're going to do what I say, rather than giving a lot of these younger guys the opportunity because the Flyers' expectations are a little bit up in the air at the moment. And for me, I'd like to see him hand over the reins a little bit more to those younger guys, but I do know that all the habits die a little bit hard, and Torts seems to be somebody that is just very, very stubborn. It's his way or the highway, and I do know it's kind of weird. You have some players that love him, some players that don't. Michkov is going to decide whether or not he stays there, because if Michkov thrives but he doesn't like Tortorella, guess what? He won't be there for the long term. It is what it is. So with all that being said, who do I think is going to go out there and win the Calder? The answer is I don't really know, because this is something where you're not even sure how all these guys are going to produce at the NHL level. I guess Stankoven would be somebody that would be a good pick on a good team. Already got over about 50 games of NHL action. Things have gone well for him. That would be kind of the sensible pick, if you will, but you have a lot of great choices here. Could Celebrini go out there and thrive in year one? Absolutely. Could Michkov be that guy, as he's already got proven NHL experience, and be yet again another Russian player that comes over after playing in the KHL and thriving? Yes, you saw guys like Artemi Panarin win the Calder, Kirill Kaprizov that win the Calder already did. Michkov could be the next step for multiple Russian players that continue to succeed outside of the NHL and then thrive once they get here. So for that, I feel like it's up in the air at the moment, but I really am optimistic that this race for the Calder this season could be a lot better than what we saw last season. But I want to know your thoughts down below. Who do you think is going to win the Calder Trophy and why? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, I do want to say that this isn't necessarily something that I'm too locked in on for the picks. I picked Cole Caulfield to win it 1 year, and he got sent down to the AHL before going on a tear once he got back up. So it doesn't bother me if none of these guys that I said are the favorites end up doing it. So anyway, just thought I'd get that out there. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you're new. Everybody, please make sure also to stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.